Okay, so welcome to lecture number 4 on dynamic programming. In this lecture, we will talk about elements of dynamic programming. So, in the previous three lectures, we have seen three examples where we have applied dynamic programming. So, those who have not seen the previous lectures, I would suggest them to go and see those lecture first. But still, you might be wondering when we can apply dynamic programming to a problem. So, basically, there are two key elements that an optimization problem must have. So basically we apply dynamic programming to optimization problem that we have already discussed in the lecture number 1. And a optimization problem must have optimal substructure and overlapping subproblem. So first step to solve an optimization problem by dynamic programming is to characterize the structure of an optimal solution. So what would be the structure of optimal solution in the optimization problem? So recall that a problem exhibits optimal substructure if the optimal solution to the problem contains within it optimal solutions to subproblem. And we have seen whenever a problem exhibit optimal substructure, we got an idea that dynamic programming might apply. Now there is a catch. You should be very careful not to assume that optimal substructure applies when it does not. So there may be chance that problem does not have optimal substructure, but you are assuming it so. For example, given a director graph G that have set of vertices V and set of edges E, and two vertices U and V that belongs to V. Now consider a problem of finding unweighted shortest path. So we want to find out a path with fewest number of edges. So the length of path is shortest, and we are assuming that the path is simple. So there is no cycle and there is no loop in the graph, and we are assuming that uh, the path is simple. Now, we'll see that this problem, that is finding unweighted shortest path problem, exhibits optimal substructures. For this, C. So suppose we are assuming that U is not equal to V, just to have the problem non-trivial. Assume that there exists a path between U and V. There is a path between U and V, and we are saying that this path is, let's say, P. And then this path contains some intermediate vertices, let's say W. So that is, we can decompose the path U to V, the path P U to V, into subpaths. That is, U to W, the path can be called P1, and W to V path can be called P2. So it is very clear that if from U to V we have a path P, and up to W we have path P1, and W to V we have path P2. So so the number of edges in path P will be equal to the number of edges in path P1 and number of edges in path P2. So now assume that this path is optimal. So now we claim that this P is optimal from U to V, that P is optimal. Then P1, that is the path from U to W, will also be the shortest path. Or similarly for P2, that path from W to V will be the shortest path. But why so? Why it is true? For this, see the explanation. So suppose you have a path from U to W, P1, and W to V, P2, and the overall path length is P, and we are saying that this P is the shortest. We are assuming that P is the shortest path, and the claim is the P1 will also be the shortest. So now assume a contradiction. Contradiction is that P1 is the not shortest and there is another path from U to V, let's say P dash P1 dash. P1 dash is the shortest compared to P1. So that is length of P1 dash is less than length of P1. Here length is the number of edges. So if the length of P1 dash is less than length of P1, so we can replace P1 by P1 dash. So the overall path we can from U to V, we can assume length of P1 dash plus length of P2, and the overall path, let's say new path, let's say we are calling it P dash. Since length of P1 dash is less than length of P1, then the overall length, that is P dash, will be less than P. However, this statement contradicts to our original statement, that is P is the shortest. Therefore, if P is the shortest, P1 will be also be the shortest. And P1 is, and similarly we can show for P2 also. So clearly you can see if P is the shortest path, then the subpaths or subproblems, let's say U to W and W to V, also exhibits shortest path. So the subproblems from U to W and W to V also exhibit the optimal substructure. So if P is the shortest, then P1 will be shortest and P2 will be shortest. So we have seen that unweighted shortest path problem exhibits the optimal substructure. Now see this example, that is unweighted longest simple path problem, where instead of finding a shortest path, we are going to find the longest path from U to V, and we have the same assumption of simplicity that we don't have any cycle, because if we have this, if we have the cycles, we can go around the cycles and we can create a longest path iteratively. But we are assuming the simple path that does not have any cycle. So now you might be tempted that since we can assume that U to V there exists a longest path, let's say P, so there may be a chance that if we divide this U to V from some vertices, let's say W, as we have seen earlier, subproblems might have the optimal substructure. So this overall problem might have the optimal substructure. So you might be tempted to assume that the problem of finding an unweighted longest simple path exhibit optimal substructure as well, but it is not. Unlike previous problem, this problem doesn't have any optimal substructure. So again, assume that we can decompose path from U to V, that is P, into subpaths P1 and P2 from U to W and W to V respectively. So we are assuming that P is the longest path. Then we might be tempted to say that P1 is also longest and P2 is also longest. But the answer is no. P1 P1 may not be the longest path and P2 may not be the longest path. So to understand this, see this example where we have given a graph with 4 vertices, a directed graph with the 4 vertices, and we want to find a longest path between Q to T. So the longest path, let's say, so the longest path from Q to T is QRT, that is this one. So this is also the answer, but we are assuming so you can assume either QRT or QST, both are the same length. So let's say we are assuming that QRT is the longest path. So in this example, let's say from Q to T there is the longest path QRT. Now if we divide this path from, let's say, vertex R, so there is a vertex Q to R and R to T. There is a path from Q to R and R to T, and let's say this P, overall P is the longest, so Q to R and R to T is the longest path. So the sub paths, that is P1 from Q to R, might be the longest, but it is not, because Q to R is not the longest. Q to R, there is another path from Q to S, S to R, T, and T to R. This is the longest path from Q to R. So path P1, that is from Q to R, is not the longest. There is another path which is the longest path. And also if we assume, and also it is true for R to T. So R to T is not the longest. R to Q, Q to S, and S to T is the longest. So, and if we add this two path, so let's say this is not the longest path. If we have the longest path like this, Q to S, S to T, T to R, R to Q, Q to S, S to T. But this path is not the simple path. So our path was Q to R to T was the longest. Hence, and the subpaths does not have the optimal substructure. So therefore, this problem does not exhibit the optimal substructure, unlike the problem of finding unweighted shortest path. So this example shows that for longest simple path, not only does the problem lack optimal substructure, but we cannot necessarily assume a legal solution to a problem from the solution to subproblems. And therefore the problem of finding an unweighted longest path does not appear to have any sort of optimal substructure. Even there is no efficient dynamic programming algorithm for this problem has ever been found. In fact, this problem is NP complete problem. We'll talk about this later, what is NP complete, but this problem is NP complete problem. That is unweighted longest simple path. So that's it. So whenever you're trying to apply the dynamic programming to a problem, you must be sure about the optimal substructure. The other key element was the overlapping subproblem. If you have characterized the optimal substructure, then you can always define a recursive formula for that. And if you come up with the recursive formula, then you can easily see the overlapping subproblems. But the idea is to see if there exists a optimal substructure or not. Thank you.